everyone! Welcome back to another lesson. Marami tayong pinagdaanan sa mga taga-Batangas. Marami tayong pinagdaanan during the past week. So, kapit lang, kaya natin to. Okay? Barako tayo. So, anyway, so for those who are watching na we're not in Batangas, okay, we're currently experiencing forces of nature testing our resiliency. Okay, so kaya naman namin pero yun nga, marami nga nasalanta ng bagyo. Okay, we were nasalanta ng volcanic eruption, and then the pandemic, and then 2 strong typhoons dumaan, okay, sa aming area. So sa bagyong Kinta, malakas yung dala niyang hangin, talagang sumisipol siya, hampasan ng hampasan, tumba yung mga puno. Kay bagyong Rolly, marami namang ulan, kaya bumaha. Okay, so please do pray for us. Okay, anyway, so on the lighter side, okay, we'll be discussing accounting lessons. Okay, and first on the list is corporate liquidation. So we're done with partnership. Okay na tayo doon. And then the last part is partnership liquidation. Paano kung insolvent na yung partnership or ayaw na ipagpatuloy yung partnership, we were taught how to liquidate it. How about if corporations naman are dealing with insolvency or difficulties resulting to ililiquidate na lang. Okay, so paano yung kanyang accounting doon? So let's find out. Okay. So first, discussion includes accounting for corporate liquidation and the preparation of statement of affairs and statement of realization. So hindi lang natin nailagay, pero yun yung discussions natin for today. Okay, maliwanag tayo ngayon kasi meron ng ring light na mumurahin lang naman, may electric fan. So ginamit na yung ring light. Okay, anyway. So insolvency. Ano ba ang insolvency? Malimit nating na-encounter sa discussion ng partnership yung insolvency. Ano ba siya? So, it's one of the reasons why magko-corporate liquidation. Okay? Insolvency is when the total liabilities exceed its total assets, resulting to financial difficulty. So, may financial difficulty. So, parang may pera, pero hindi sapat, or walang pera, walang pambayad. Okay? So, yon. Okay? So, yung insolvency may be according to the Insolvency Act of the Philippines, it may be voluntary or when the corporation applies, yung corporation mismo nag-a-apply sa isang court na i-discharge siya sa liabilities, okay, because insolvent na siya. Okay, so may ganon. Okay, the Insolvency Act of the Philippines, I think it's included in your special law. Okay, nakasama sa board exam. Okay, so meron din naman involuntary. Dito naman is nag-file for insolvency of the corporation in a court of law is the creditors. Okay, so this is all according to Insolvency Act of the Philippines. So one of the possible solution, so when a corporation is insolvent, is either liquidation or reorganization. Sa liquidation, it's the total winding up of the business na hindi mo na talaga pagpapatuloy. Reorganization, there is a chance na may salba yung corporation from insolvency through capital structure papaltan or i-revise or some other ways on reorganization. So pag-usapan natin siya sa dulo kasi maraming ways on how do you execute a reorganization. Okay, so first we discuss how do you execute a liquidation. Okay, so corporate liquidation, because a corporation is already insolvent, ibig sabihin, hindi na siya naka-going concern. Okay? So, if hindi na siya naka-going concern, yung assumption, yung kabaliktaran niya, yung liquidating concern, ibig sabihin, you cannot foresee in the foreseeable future na nagpapatuloy yung business. So, kapag ganon, the PFRS, hindi siya it will not be applicable for a liquidating entity to be used. Why? Hindi mo pwedeng ibigay yung fair value of an asset doon sa presentation if you are in a liquidating concern. Why? Sasala ka. Kasi the PFRS tells us that yung fair value on certain assets will be used if the assumption is naka-going concern. So, if liquidating concern na, hindi na pwede si PFRS. Okay, how will you do the liquidating process? First of all, you have to know what a realizable value is. So, ano ba yung realizable value? That is actually the estimated selling price. Okay, kasi liquidating ka na, so ipagbebenta mo na. Estimated selling price less disposal cost. Okay? For the asset. How about for the liabilities? Sa liabilities naman is the net settlement amount for the liabilities. Kasi there are some creditors na pinapayagan na mas mababa or more or less than yung actual mong binayaran. Okay? So, net settlement amount. So, it depends on the narrative of anong nangyari between the creditor-debtor relationship. Okay? So, reports prepared are the settlement of affairs and settlement of realization and liquidation. Okay? So, yan. Next, we go to statement of affairs. Ano ba siya? So, this shows the financial position of a liquidating entity. So, medyo kahawig siya ng balance sheet. Medyo lang. Pero, ang pinagkaiba niya is, yung asset naka-realizable values and then the liabilities are at their expected net settlement amounts. Also, 'di ba sa usual balance sheet naka-classify as asset, current or non-current, liabilities, current or non-current, and then the equity. Sa statement of affairs, assets are classified as assets pledged to fully secured creditors, assets pledged to partially secured creditors, and free assets. Okay? Liabilities are then classified as unsecured liabilities with priority, fully secured creditors, partially secured creditors, and unsecured liabilities without priority. Ma'am, bakit ganyan? Okay, so you're actually learning another kind of financial statement. Pero maganda sa kanya, kahawig nga siya ng balance sheet. So, nag-iba lang yung mga tawag. And syempre, this is only used if you're doing liquidation sa isang corporation. Okay? So, isa-isa natin. Ano yung assets pledged to fully secured creditors? This is actually assets na ang realizable values niya when you computed it are equal to or greater than the expected net settlement amounts of the related liabilities. Ibig sabihin, itong mga assets na ito is security, parang collateral nung naka-pledge siya as security or collateral dun sa corresponding liabilities na meron ka. Okay, for example, meron kang building daw na realizable value niya is 2 million. Naka-pledge siya as security sa isang bank loan na ang inutang mo is worth 1 million or the net settlement amount is worth 1 million. So, 2 million na building at 1 million na utang, may sobra pa. So, anong tawag kay bank na inutangan mo? He's a fully secured creditor. Bakit? Kaya mong bayaran yung 1 million. Di ba? Okay, kaya mong bayaran yung 1 million, may sobra pa. O, saan napapunta yung excess? Siyempre, itatabi mo siya for the other unsecured creditors. Okay? Next, how about the partially secured? Dito naman, the realizable value of the asset is less than the net settlement price of the related liabilities. Ibig sabihin, hindi sapat. Okay, for example, yung building, noong una, 2 million yung realizable value niya. Pero yung inutang mo, nakasecure siya as collateral, whereas security sa isang loan ng utang mo is 3 million. Kulang pa ng 1 milyon. Okay, so anong tawag kay bank na inutangan mo or kinuhanan mo ng loan? Partially secured. Why? Secured yung 2 million mo. Hahanap ako kung saan ako makakuha ng 1 million. Okay. Pero sure ka makakatanggap ka ng 2 million. Okay, that's how partially secured creditors are. Okay? So, deficiency must come from the other assets if may other assets pa. Eh, paano pag wala? Wala tayong magagawa. Okay? So, yon. And then the free assets. Okay, ano yung free assets? So these are the assets na wala kang hindi siya pledge for security. Okay, it also includes the excess of assets from fully secured creditors. Okay, so dalawa siya. It's either the assets na wala kang paggagamitang or wala siyang nakadikit, hindi siya nakadikit as collateral security sa ibang liabilities, or excess of assets from fully secured creditors. Okay, yung kanina, yung sobra. Okay, so examples are excess cash to be used by the entity for other liabilities. Okay, so dun tayo sa liabilities portion. Ano yung liabilities with priority? Unsecured, ibig sabihin, wala kang sure na pambayad dito ha. Unsecured liabilities, pero with priority siya. So, ano ba siya? These are liabilities that are mandated by law. Pag hindi ka sumunod, pwede ka kasuhan. Okay? To be paid first before the unsecured liabilities without priority. So, this is with priority. With priority siya. Why? It is mandated by law. Okay? So, examples are administrative expenses. So, kasi, if you're an insolvent corporation, you're falling under the Insolvency Act of the Philippines, malamang you'll be gagastos ka for filing fees, attorney's fees, direct cost for insolvency proceedings. Okay, lahat ng tungkol sa insolvency proceedings na gastos, that's administrative expenses. You have to pay for that. That's with priority. Okay? So, if you have hired o may trustee or merong administrator na sa kanya mo binigay, sa kanya mo pinapaasikaso yung corporate liquidation. So, you have to pay for the fees involved. Okay, so, yon. Then, we have unpaid employee salaries and other benefits. Siyempre naman, girl, saan ka nakakita ng nag-liquidate, pasara na yung corporation, iniwan sa area ang mga empleyado, di madodole. Okay, so you have to pay for the severance payment, okay, of your employees kasi hindi naman nila gustong mawala sa trabaho. And there are no other circumstances that led na para sila ay masisante. Okay, so ibig sabihin, meron silang severance pay plus the salaries na dapat natanggap nila during the time na working pa, hindi mo pa sinasabing insolvent ka. Pinapatuloy pa rin yung operation. So, you have to pay for that and the other benefits. Okay? Why? Because madodoli ka, alam na kasi ngayon ng mga manggagawa ang karapatan nila. So, you have to be careful with everything you do. You have to be, if you will be putting up a corporation, you have to be knowledgeable with all of the law, okay, regarding work, okay, those that are involved sa proceedings ng business mo, okay, operations. Hindi pwedeng, hindi ko yan alam. Okay, ignorance of the law exempts no one. Okay, so yan, nasa batas natin yan. Okay, taxes and assessment. Syempre naman, habulin ka ng BRR. Tax evasion. Okay, so you have to pay the relative taxes if meron. Okay, so these are your unsecured liabilities with priority. How about fully secured creditor? So, siya yung mga creditors na yun yung kanina pinag-usapan natin. Secured sila because the corresponding assets is greater than, yung realizable value niya is greater than the net settlement amount of the liability. So, fully secured. Impartially secured, less than yung realizable values to the corresponding net settlement amounts of the liabilities. Okay, unsecured liabilities with priority. Without priority. Name itself. Okay, so all other liabilities not fully secured, not partially secured, and not with priorities. Okay, so yan. Ano yung usual yun? Yung accounts payable. Malimit lang. Okay, there are circumstances na sa narration, meron din naka-pledge na assets, pero malimit accounts payable. Okay, so, how do we do the corporate liquidation? So, we have, first, you restate the assets and liabilities at their realizable value. Madali lang yan kasi hanapin mo lang yung realizable values niya. Okay? And then, tatandaan niyo yung description or yung definition of realizable value, that is the estimated selling price less disposal cost. Okay? Or the cost of disposal. Okay? So, basta tandaan mo yun, hindi ka mapapariwara. Okay? Next, you identify the classification of the assets and liabilities. Either they are assets pledged for fully secured creditors, assets for pledged for partially secured creditors, unsecured liabilities without priority, with priority, fully secured creditors, and partially secured creditors, and then the free assets. Okay, sala yung free assets. So, kasama siya sa assets. So, the free assets, afterwards, you compute for the estimated recovery percentage, okay, and the estimated recovery, okay, of each of the classification. Then, prepare the statement of affairs. Okay, so let's do it. I have here an example. So we have Wonder Girls Inc. has decided to liquidate its operation due to insolvency. The statement of financial position of the company shows the following. So nasa gilid kasi hindi siya kasha. Okay? So we have the assets you are given at book values. Okay? So yan. And then you look at this one, this part. Retained earnings deficit. Deficit siya. Okay, saan ka nakakita ng retained earnings na deficit? Sa isang liquidating entity. Okay? So, deficits siya. Okay? So, we have additional information. Only 76% of the AR is collectible. Ma'am, ano yan? Diyan mo makukuha yung clue regarding the realizable values. Okay? 10,000 interest is receivable on the note. The inventory it has an estimated selling price of 420,000, estimated cost to sell of 10. Prepaid assets are non-refundable. The land and building have fair values of 2 million and 800,000 respectively, but Wonder Girls Inc. expects to sell both. The basket price of 2.6 million. The equipment has estimated net selling price of 200,000. Administrative expenses of 30,000 are expected to be incurred in the liquidation process. Accrued expenses include accrued salaries of 25. 15,000 interest is payable on the loan, and all other liabilities are stated at their expected net settlement amount. This problem is adapted. Okay, so this is our example. Okay, so first, we have to restate the assets and liabilities at their realizable values. How do we do that? Wow, if kita nyo ba to sa screen? Okay, sorry. Kasi masyadong maraming, So, first is the cash. Wala naman sinabing other information regarding cash. So, realizable value is 40,000. Okay? Sa accounts receivable, sabi 76% is collectible. So, you have to multiply it by 76% to get the realizable value of 167,200. Okay? And then notes, wala namang sinabi. Okay? About the principal amount, which is 100,000, pero may sinabing, there is an interest receivable at 10,000. Okay? So, you have to recognize that 10,000 interest receivable. Okay? The inventory, you don't look at the book value. You look at the statement, the narrative regarding siya daw ipagbebenta at 420,000 pero gumastos siya ng 10,000 for the disposal. So, 420 minus 10, that's the realizable value, 410. Okay? Then, you have prepaid assets. Sabi, this is non-refundable. So, hindi mo na siya magagamit. So, zero out mo na siya. Okay? Kasi hindi mo siya magagamit. Non-refundable. Okay? Then, the land and then the building daw will be sold at basket price. Okay, ma'am, ba't hindi fair values? Kasi diba, sabi natin, realizable value is the estimated selling price less the cost of disposal. So, anong gagamitin mo? Edi yung estimated selling price, which is the basket price of 2.6. Okay? So, basket price na siya, hindi yung fair value, ha? Okay? Then, the equipment, it will be sold at 200,000. So, total assets at realizable value, you get 3,527,200. Okay? So, let's go to the accrued expenses. So, accrued, wala naman, 2 to 1,000. Pero nasa loob daw si 25,000. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, 25,000 na accrued salaries. Ma'am, bakit kailangan i-highlight? Kasi meron tayong napag-usapan kanina regarding liabilities na mandated by law. Okay? Then, we have current tax payable, 350, wala nagbago. Accounts payable, 1 million. Then, we have note payable with equipment as security. Okay? So, you have to take note of that. Loan payable with land and building as security, 2 million. Interest payable. So, ito, si interest payable, sabi sa problem kasi nag-incur ng interest yung note. Note ba? Note. Yup. Okay? On the loan. So, yung loan payable pala. So, meron siyang interest payable ng 15,000. And then, you have to recognize estimated administrative expenses. Kasi babayaran mo siya. So, liability siya, 30,000. So, your total liabilities is 3916. Doon pa lang, kinukutuban ka na. Bakit? The assets is at 3,527,200. Your liabilities is 3,916. How much is the deficiency? So, how do you compute? You deduct total liabilities from the total assets. So, 3,527,200 less 3,916,000. You'll get capital deficiency of 388,800. Kulang ang FIRA mo. Okay, so 388,800. Next, what's our next procedure? We have you identify the classification. You classify the assets and liabilities. So the assets, first is assets pledged to fully secured creditors. So balikan mo yung problem. Okay, if you have screenshotted the problem, okay, balikan mo siya. Yung loan payable daw is secured by the land and then the building. Okay? Magkano ba ang cost ng land and the building? The basket price, the realizable value The realizable value of the land and the building is at 2.6. Okay? How much is your loan? Okay, your loan, the principal amount is 2 million. Titigil ka doon? No. Kasi may interest payable pa. Kasi di ba pag nagbabayad ka ng utang lang, hindi naman principal lang, pati interest. So, 2 million and then the interest payable of 15, you'll get a sobra. May sobra. Kasi 2.6 million yung asset mo. Yung liab mo naman na corresponding liab mo is 2,015,000 lang. Okay? So, meron kang sobrang 585,000. So, available siya for unsecured creditors. So, lagay mo siya doon. Next, we have assets pledged to partially secured creditors. Paano mo nasabing partially secured creditor siya? Kasi, si note payable daw, okay, kita niyo yung kanina yung hinighlight ko. Excuse me. Si note payable daw ay worth 300,000. Secure daw siya ng equipment na worth 200,000 realizable value. Doon pa lang, kukutubang ka na. Bakit? 200,000 lang yung asset ko. Saan kukunin yung 100,000? So, anong tawag sa creditor mo from kung saan nanggaling si note payable? Partially secured. Okay? So, wala kang available for unsecured creditors. Kulang ka pa nga. Okay? Then, yung compute for the free assets. Okay? Alin yun? Siyempre, yung iba pang assets na hindi siya naka-attach sa other liabilities. For example, the cash, the accounts receivable, the notes receivable, the interest receivable, the inventory, and then the prepaid assets. Okay, so 40,000 cash, receivable na 167,200, notes receivable na 100,000, and then the interest na 10,000, inventory of 410, you'll get available for unsecured creditors, you have 727,200. Galing yan sa mga assets na hindi naka-attach sa liabilities. Okay, so total free assets. You compute now for total free assets. Di ba sabi natin, the free assets is composed of the assets not pledged to certain liabilities and then yung excess for fully secured creditors. So, excess from fully secured creditors, 585,000. Okay, here it is. And then, add mo lang yung free assets na 727,200. Parang telephone number na 727,200. Okay, so anyway, then a total of 1,312,200. That's your total free assets. Saan natin yung gagamitin? Basta, gamitin natin yan. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, may pambayad ka pa for other liabilities na 1,312,200. Okay? Now, for the liabilities, let's classify. Una, unsecured liabilities with priority. So, alin yon? Una, di ba sa listahan natin, may estimated admin expense. Okay, from the proceedings of the liquidation. So, estimated admin expense is 30,000. Okay, so kasama siya. Then, yung accrued salary, saan galing yung ma'am? So, doon sa narration, doon sa given na problem. 25,000. Bakit kailangan mo siyang bayaran? Pag hindi mo siya binayaran, madodole ka. Okay, so, 25,000. Then, current tax payable. Kailangan mo siyang bayaran kasi hahabulin ka ng BIR for tax evasion. Okay, 350,000. Total unsecured liabilities with priorities, 405,000. May nakasecure sa kanyang asset? Wala. Pero siya ay with priority. Okay? Next. Dito tayo. Fully secured creditors. Okay? So, kanina naman nakita na natin kung alin yung fully secured, fully secured na liabilities. That's a loan payable and then the interest expense. Ano ang kanyang naka-attach na security? The land and then the building. So, the amount of the liability is 2015. Okay? Partially secured. So, ito, nakita na din natin kanina na yung note payable, 300,000. Pero yung equipment niya, realizable value lang niya is 200. So, may kulang ka pang 100,000. Papatak siya sa unsecured liability without priority. Okay? Doon siya papatak, ha? So, ibig sabihin, dagdag siya, ma'am, doon. Yes, dagdag. Pero dyan mo pa rin siya ilagay. Okay, para hindi ka nalilito. Yan. Next, we now compute for unsecured liabilities without priority. Okay, paano yon? Yung accrued expenses, tanggalin mo sa loob niya si accrued salaries kasi nasa loob daw ni 221,000 si 25,000. So, minus mo lang. 221,000 minus 25,000, you'll get 196,000. Okay? Wag ka nang tumingin do secured and priority claims kasi hindi na siya applicable dito. Hindi ko pa na-edit. Anyway, accounts payable, wala naka-attach sa kanya. So, unsecured siya without priority, 1 million. A total of unsecured liabilities without priority of 196,000. Okay? So, how much is your total unsecured liabilities without priority? Sabi, that is from yung kulang sa total from partially secured creditors and then yung unsecured without priority. Ay di yung 100,000 na kulang from partially secured and then yung kanina mo na-compute na 1,196,000, a total of 1,296,000 total unsecured liabilities without priority. Okay? Bakit natin kinukuha yan? Kasi magko-compute ka for estimated recovery percentage. Ano ba siya? So, dito mo malalaman how much yung recovery or yung makukuha ng unsecured liabilities without priority. Doon siya ginagamit. So, magkano nga ba ang estimated recovery percentage of unsecured life creditors without priority? Kasi makatanggap naman sila pero hindi fully. Okay? Kasi nga may deficiency ka. May capital deficiency ka. Okay? So, kung hindi matatanggap ng buo nung unsecured creditors without priority, malamang wala ka na ding papamigay sa shareholders mo. Okay? Namang i-prioritize mo yung shareholders mo kaysa dun sa iyong creditors. Eh, di ba? We have the hierarchy that outside creditors are priority kaysa sa nasa loob. Okay? So, yan. How do you compute? Net free assets. Kanina. Uy, ma'am, na-compute natin. Yeah. Net free assets divided by total unsecured liabilities without priority. Okay? So, let's do that. We have total free assets. Doon ka muna sa total free assets. Ang total free assets mo is 1,312,200. Okay? I-deduct mo ngayon si total unsecured liabilities with priority. Ma'am, bakit siya lang yung i-deduct? Kasi 'di ba, nung kinompute natin 'yan, na-consider na natin si fully at si partially. Si unsecured liabilities with priority, hindi pa. Tanggalin mo siya. Okay? Kasi with priority siya, may pambayad ka. 405 ilaan mo sa kanya. So, 1,312,200 less 405,000, you have net free assets of 907,200. Okay? Ma'am, yan na yun? Yes. Yan na yung net free assets mo. I-divide mo ngayon siya sa unsecured liabilities without priority na 1,296,000 na-compute natin kanina. You have estimated recovery percentage of unsecured creditors without priority of 70%. Okay, anong highlight dito? Yung ilalas mo muna yung total unsecured with liabilities with priority sa total free assets para makuha mo si net free assets. Okay? Then, saka mo siya divide. 70%. Saan natin yan gagamitin? We now compute for the recovery, estimated recovery. So, si unsecured with priority, 100% mababayaran mo. Okay? Fully secured, 100% mababayaran mo. Kasi fully secured eh. So, partially secured, alin lang ang nag-guarantee? Ang claim ni partially ay 300,000. What is the amount of the equipment? 200,000. So, that's one. Yung 100,000, Hindi ka sure kasi na mababayaran mo siya. So, pumatak siya sa unsecured liabilities without priority. 100,000, multiply mo siya ng estimated recovery percentage of 70%. Okay? I-add mo yung dalawa, 200,000 plus the value of 100,000 times 70%, you'll get 270,000. Okay? Yun yung mare-recover ng partially secured. Ma'am, hindi sakto 300,000. Hindi. Okay? So, then the unsecured liabilities without priority, ang claim niya is 1,196,000. As computed, estimated recovery lang nila is 70%. So, multiply mo lang, you'll get 837,200. Yan lang yung mababayaran mo from that. Okay? Kasi nga insolvent ka na. Okay? Shareholders, 0. Okay? Kasi naubos mo na sa unsecured mo without priority. Okay. Total assets at realizable value. This is for checking, ha? 3,527,200. Okay? You look at your first, yan, this one. Total assets, 3,527,200. So, alam mong na-allocate mo siya ng ayos. Okay? Okay. Good. I hope you understand. Ano? I hope you understand. Ba't siya nag-red? Pwede pa na siya mag-red, ano? Okay. So, yun. Next, we do the statement of realization and liquidation. Ma'am, bakit may ganyan? This is shoes. Financial report that shows the progress of the liquidation process, most especially when the winding up of affairs is entrusted to a receiver. Okay, so ginagamit siya if may receiver ka. Okay, usually naman pag nagli-liquidate, because of insolvency, may receiver or may trustee. Okay, you have to prepare for this at month end. Okay, malimit month end. Okay? So, paano ba siya? Debit credit side. So, sa debit side, you debit assets to be realized, assets acquired for the assets. Sa credit side, you credit assets realized and then assets not realized. Okay? For the liabilities, you debit liabilities liquidated, liabilities not liquidated. For the credit side, liabilities to be liquidated and then liabilities assumed. Okay? For the supplementary expenses, naka-debit, and from the credit, supplementary income. So, parang meron ka ng familiar na sa'yo because of the normal balances. Okay? Kasi third year ka na. So, alam mo na yung normal balances ng accounts. Okay? So, let's look at the assets. So, ano ba siya? Assets to be realized. This is actually your total non-cash assets. Non-cash. Non-cash. So, hindi kasama ang cash. Assets available for disposal as at the beginning of the period. This is valued at book value. You have to take note. Assets to be realized is valued at book value. Assets acquired, these are previously unrecorded assets that were not recognized during the period. So, these are actually additional assets and new assets. Okay, yung kagaya kanina, yung interest receivable, that's actually an asset acquired. Okay, kasi hindi mo siya na-recognize before, na-recognize mo ngayon. So, yun. Then, assets realized, these are yung mga nabenta mo, or hindi mo talaga nabenta, parang nabenta mo plus nasingil mo. Okay, so actual net proceeds from the conversion of non-cash assets into cash during the period. So, yun yun. And then, assets not realized, ito yung mga unsold. So, hindi mo pa siya nabebenta or hindi mo pa siya nasisingil as of okay? So, hindi dito kasama yung uncollectibles kasi uncollectible na siya eh. Okay? So, yun. So, yun nga. So, I have adopted the summary of non-cash assets, the account. So, debit side, assets to be realized, excluding cash. This is actually at book value. Assets acquired, these are additions at book value. Then, on the credit side, assets realized, these are disposals at net proceeds. And then, you have the ending balance of assets not realized. Okay? For the liabilities naman, you have liabilities to be liquidated. These are your total liabilities set to be settled at the beginning of the period. So, it's at book value. So, lahat ng liabilities mong to be settled. Liabilities assumed. These are previously unrecorded liabilities that were recognized during the period. So, yan. Yung kanina, yung interest expense. Oo nga. Okay. Interest payable na ni-recognize lang nung magli-liquidate na, okay? Then, liabilities liquidated, these are actually yung mga nabayaran mo na. Actual net settlement amount of liabilities paid. And then, liabilities not liquidated, you have unpaid liabilities at the end of the period. Okay, so, adapted, the account liabilities. For the credit side, liabilities to be liquidated at book value. And then, the liabilities assumed, so yung mga additions. Debit side, liabilities liquidated na, or this actually your decreases, yung mga nabayaran na. Okay, at net proceeds. And then, your balancing figure, mali naman ang aking account. Okay, doon sa kabila. Liabilities not liquidated. Okay, that's the ending balance. Okay, supplementary expenses and income. These are actually income and expenses realized or incurred during the period. Okay, so yung mga admin expenses. Okay, so yon. Then we have assets and liabilities are measured at book value to show the actual gains or losses from the sale of assets or settlement of the liability. So let's answer the question why book value ang gamit when you're doing a statement of statement of realization liquidation, kasi you have to, para malaman mo or to show the actual gains or losses from the net settlement. So mapapansin mo sa T account, dalawang ginagamit na value, isang book value, okay, isang actual net proceeds, okay? Then, the differences between the debit and credit side, pag ipinasok mo na siya, lahat, the assets and then the assets and the liabilities on the debit side, and then the assets and liabilities on the credit side, plus supplementary expenses and income, galing dun sa una nating T account, you'll get a net gain or loss on the sale of assets and settlement of liabilities during the period. Okay? So, yan. Pag malaki si credit side, okay, it's actually a gain. Pag malaki si debit side, it's actually a loss. Okay? Pag malaki si credit side, gain. Pag mas malaki si debit side, loss. Okay? So, correct me if I'm wrong mamaya. May sobrang daming umiikot sa utak ko. Minsan nakakalimutan ko na itong mga bagay-bagay. So, we were given the same problem, adapted. Okay, a receiver trustee will administer the liquidation. So, wala naman pinagkaiba dun sa statement of financial positions from the previous given, yun din. Okay, the other information, okay, there's just some addition. So, only 165,000 were collected on the accounts receivable. The remainder was written off. 10,000 interest is receivable on the note and was collected in full. Only 90% was collected on the principal. The remainder is written off. Half of the inventory was sold for 300,000. Actual cost to sell was 5,000. Prepaid assets are non-refundable. Land and building were sold for 2.6. Equipment was sold for 220. Administrative expenses of 30 were expected to be incurred, but only 27,000 were paid. The accrued expenses, only accrued salaries of 25,000 was paid. 15,000 interest is payable on the loan and the principal is paid in full. Current tax payable was paid in full, and the note payable was settled for 220,000. The lender canceled the balance. Okay? Isa-isahin natin. Assets to be realized. So, ano nga ito? This is actually your assets. Okay? Non-cash assets ha, non-cash. So, you have the book value of the assets transferred to the receiver. Yung 3.7. Okay? Ito. 3.7. Total assets, 3.7. Less mo lang yung cash. Tanggalin mo lang yung cash, you get total assets to be realized is 3,660,000. Okay? Assets to be realized, these are yung additions. Okay, additions. So, alin ba ang additions mo dyan? The interest receivable of 10,000. Okay? Assets realized, these are your net proceeds sa mga nasingil mo and sa mga naipagbenta mo. So, yung collection of AR daw is 165,000 lang yung na-collect. The rest is written off. Collection of the interest in the note. So, 100,000 siya yung total. That's actually 100,000 times yung 90% lang daw ng principal ang na-collect plus yung interest receivable na 10,000, 100,000. Okay? Sale of inventory. Naibenta daw siya kalahati at 295,000. Okay? Walang sinabi dun sa kalahati ha. Sabi lang is yung kalahati is half of the inventory was sold for 300,000. Actual cost to sell was 5,000. So, kaya siya ay 295 kasi 300,000 less 5,000 na cost to dispose. Okay, 295,000. Sale of land, 2.6 basket price. Sale of equipment, 220. A total assets realized, 3,380. Okay? Then, assets not realized, you have, hindi kasama yung mga na-write off, ha? Yung inventory mo, yung kalahati, hindi pa siya nabebenta. So, half of the inventory is not yet realized. So, 530,000 times 50%, you get 265,000. Yun yung assets not realized mo. Okay? So, yan. Liabilities. So, liabilities to be liquidated is actually your book value of the liabilities. 3,871,000. Kukunin mo lang siya from the financial statement na, okay, so add mo lang to. Hindi ko pala na-add. So, add mo lang to, you'll get 3,871,000. Okay, book value. Next, liabilities assumed. So, ito yung mga additions, yung interest payable at 15,000 from the loan payable. So, nag-interest yung loan payable. Then, yung mga binayaran mo, liabilities liquidated. Binayaran mo yung accrued salaries. Sabi kasi sa problem, binayaran mo 25,000. Current tax payable, binayaran mo din daw 350,000. Binayaran mo daw yung interest and loan, 2,015,000, and then yung payment for the note payable, binayaran mo at 220,000. A total liabilities liquidated of 2,610,000. Lahat yan nasa problem. Okay? Liabilities to be liquidated. Alin ang hindi mo pa nababayaran? Una, yung tira sa accrued expenses. Alin yun? Kasi accrued salaries lang yung binayaran mo. So, 221,000 less 25,000, you'll get 196,000, hindi mo pa nababayaran. Accounts payable, hindi mo pa nababayaran. Total liabilities to be liquidated is 1,196,000. Okay? Sorry. Total liabilities not liquidated. Okay? Correction. Total liabilities not liquidated. Okay? So, yan. Copy-paste lang kasi. Copy-paste lang kasi yung aking mga titles na liabilities be liquidated. So, that's liabilities not liquidated, ha? Correction. Anyway, supplementary expenses, isa lang naman. Okay, that's your administrative expense of 27,000. Hindi yung 37,000 estimated, ha? Kasi binayaran mo lang daw is 27,000. Okay, so yung 27,000 is supplementary expense. Supplementary income, wala pa. Wala naman sinabi, so none. Ano sunod na gagawin natin? Siyang! Lalagyan natin sa debit credit. Okay? So, you just follow yung flashed natin kaninang debit credits. Okay? So, assets to be realized, 366,000. Assets acquired, 10,000. Liabilities liquidated, 2,610. Liabilities not liquidated, 1,196. Supplementary expenses of 27. On the other side, assets realized, 3,380. Assets not realized, 265. Liabilities to be liquidated, 3,871. Liabilities assumed, 15,000. And then supplementary income of 0. Okay? Then, total mo lang, foot mo lang sila. Debit, 7,503. Credit, 7,531. Cross foot. Okay? 7,531 less 7,503. You'll get a net gain of 28,000. Bakit siya net gain? Mas malaki ang credit side. Okay? Kung mapapansin mo, sa credit side kasi, assets realized, assets not realized, liabilities to be liquidated, liabilities assumed. Okay? Parang siyang on your part, nag-gain mo siya. Okay? Lalo na yung assets realized and assets not realized. Okay? So, on that part, yun yung mga, alam mong malaki yung assets mo eh. Okay? So, meron ka net gain na 28,000 on this month-end liquidation. Realization and liquidation. Paano yung mga susunod? Okay? Ganyan ka ba kaswerte? Ganun. Okay. Anyway. Okay? So, that ends liquidation. Some theories on reorganization. So, what is a reorganization? These are implementation of a business plan to restructure or rehabilitate a corporation with the hope of increasing company value. This actually involves changing the capital structure. So, pwede kasi na mag-liquidate, pwede mag-reorganize. So, pag nag-reorganize, i-rehabilitate lang yung corporation. Under subject din siya sa existing laws on rehabilitation. So, pwedeng solution siya, okay, if ayaw nyo talagang i-liquidate yung company. So, this one, reorganization. What are the types? So, reasons muna. Dahil reasons why corporate reorganization happens. Una, insolvency. Next, buyouts. Buyouts and takeovers. So, may bumili. Okay. Business combination, reverse acquisition, sale or transfer of subsidiaries, the mergers. Next, we have formation of new holding company. and then recapitalization, and then corporate rehabilitation. Okay? Types of corporate reorganization. Pagsiksikan na lang sa isang slide. We have group reorganization. These are actually ownership within a group of companies changes due to new acquisition. So, involve CPFRSG. Okay? So, business combination, buyouts, takeovers. Okay? If you're taking advanced accounting, um, yeah, ACC, sorry, advanced accounting, you have encountered this. Alam ko naman. Okay? Recapitalization, change in capital structure through the replacement of old shares with new shares. So, this can be from preference shares to ordinary shares to preference shares, par to no par, yung mga ganun. Okay, recapitalization. Pwede din siya yung split. Okay, split, share split, yan. Quasi-reorganization. This is a financially troubled corporation revalues its assets and liabilities and realigns its equity to have a fresh start. So you have encountered this in intermediate accounting. Okay, corporate rehabilitation. A financially troubled corporation is administered by another party in order to bring back the corporation to its former financial condition. So this is meron ng help from an expert or other government agencies for the corporation to rehabilitate, to bring back its former glory. Okay, if maisasalba pa, if within 1 year hindi pa rin siya maisasalba, okay, liquidation na. Okay, troubled debt restructuring. Encountered din to sa intermediate accounting, settlement of an obligation to other than the originally agreed method of settlement. Okay, dito yung nagkakandalito-lito kayo kapag may bagong interest percentage. Okay, so yan. The creditor grants the debtor concession that would not otherwise be granted in a normal business relationship. So, may mga kinukondone na interest or even principal, nagbabago yung terms. Yan. Double debt structuring. I know you have encountered this. So, I think that ends my discussion on theories. Okay, so see in the guided exercises for some sample problems to help you in studying this topic. Pero sabi ko nga sa mga students ko, even if you are watching this, okay, hindi pa rin dapat nawawala sa inyo yung nagbabasa kayo ng libro. Okay? So, kaya-kaya niyan. Malapit na kayong maging CPAs. Okay? So, yun lang guys. Bye!